Every roar in this place hides another hunger. This is whispering narratives, where survival isn't promised, and the dark keeps the score. When the moon crosses the lights, the game ends for someone. Kickoff. Devin Cross, starting linebacker for the Ironmouth Wolves, lives in the zone where you don't hear the crowd. You feel them. He's a bulldozer with nerve endings. Helmet down, chin strap cutting skin. Tonight, Titan Bowl Elvite. He's the headline, the anchor, the guy with a mic in his face every hour for a week. He hasn't slept 3 nights straight. Team Doc says cortisol. Devin says moon. He doesn't believe in it, but he says it anyway. He drifts through pre-game like a ghost, wrapped in carbon fiber. The locker room thunders with speaker bass and ritual smacks. The smell in there is hot rubber, liniment, old blood iron. When he looks up at the ceiling vents, he thinks he sees condensation trailing sideways, like breath pulled by a tide. "You good?" asks Ramos. Backup safety towel around his neck. "Yeah, you're pale. Lights. You're shaking. Cold. You're sweating through your pads. Shut up." Ramos grins. Big night. Devin doesn't grin. He's listening to something that isn't sound. A pressure, like the stadium itself is leaning on him. Field players burst from the tunnel into a blender of light. The roof retracts, the networks call, "Give America the moon." The camera cranes over Devin as the commentator purrs. The beast himself, Devin Cross. The word hits his spine like a tuning fork. First drive. He reads the snap count late because the heartbeat in his ears isn't his. He over-pursues, shoulders a guard, takes a helmet-to-helmet clack that sprays his vision with white static. He likes the pain. It's a clean, human feeling. Second series. He times it perfectly, slashing inside, launching a legal missile. The opposing QB tumbles, limbs wrong, whistle, blue tent. The crowd roars like a stadium of lions who just smelled meat. On the big board, Devin Cross, unstoppable. His eyes flash gold for the camera, except there's no gold in human eyes. Back on the sideline, he presses his gloved knuckles into the bench until the composite creaks. The skin at the base of his fingers is tented as if the bones beneath are asking to be bigger. He clocks the moon through the roof seam, low, swollen, deceptively calm. Coach Kessler, marine brain, square jaw, old school spit, leans in. "Hey, stay with me. Keep your head out of the trash. We need you for 4 quarters. Devin nods, but the helmet feels too small, the jaw pad too tight. He thumbs a pill under his tongue. Silver nitrate, a rogue suggestion from a late-night forum he didn't tell anyone about. It tastes like a penny and rain. The camera lingers on him as the audio dips to pick up a low sound near his throat. The A1 in the broadcast truck taps his meter, frowns and lowers his fader. Not a growl, a harmonic under the breath. Something animal learning how to sing through a human pipe. It starts with the bones begging for freedom. Clock chews. Halftime approaches. His hands ache. Inside his mouth, his gums throb like teeth are trying to stand up. The roar of the crowd swells again, except it's not a roar. It's one big lung. The first howl is purely in the blood. Locker room halftime. Producers in headsets zip past with clipboards and fear smiles. A dancer with a glittered mic counts off 8 near the doorway. TV makes everything a ritual. Tonight, the rituals are going to fail. Devin sits, elbows on knees, helmet on the floor between his boots. He watches sweat drip off the ear hole and spatter the concrete. The droplets look thick, not quite like sweat. He wipes his mouth and stares at his palm, gray sheen like metal dust. It's the pill talking. Has to be Team Doc Heller hovers. "You took something? Electrolytes. You're tacky." Pupils reactive, but little weird. Define weird. Heller's a pro. He doesn't say carnivore. Light sensitive. Roof's open. Roof's barely open. Feels open. Heller nudges his glove. The seams are biting into Devin's fingers where callus meets claw. No, not claw, not that word. He flexes, a seam pops. Heller hears it and doesn't hear it. "You tell me if you're not okay." "I'm okay." He isn't. Down the hall, a camera op catches a shot of Devin from behind. Shoulder pads rise and fall too fast. The feed jitters with a band of static like heat mirage. In the control room, the tech blames the RF jungle. On social, a viewer posts, "Did anyone else hear a howl under the halftime band?" The replies, 1,000 laughing emojis and one person who writes, "I did." Ramos steps in, sees Devin's hands in his lap. "Still. Bro, your fingers. What? They look wider. They're taped. They're not taped." Devin looks. The knuckles are bulbous, skin glossy, as if the bones have rounded under the surface. He makes a fist. Something grinds. Pain. Relief. Pain again. Kessler's speech is a metronome of cliches and truth. "They'll come out hot. We break them. We break them clean." The team roars. Devin doesn't. He's reading the room's breathing. He can pick out each man's inhale like instruments in an orchestra. Flutes, brass, a rumbling cello that's his own. As the band outside crescendos to fireworks, Devin's hearing blooms. He can hear a rat under the concession stand. He can hear a drone circling the roofline. He can hear a woman on level 5 whisper, "He'll be fine, he always is." And the way she says always sounds like a prayer that knows it's lying. The floor vibrates. It synchronizes with the beating under his sternum. A thought slips in not as words but as a picture, him on all fours at speed, turf ripping, night air in his lungs, a taste so bright it's color. He stands, the room tilts. The helmet looks small as a child's bowl. He stares at his hands and feels the urge to drag them along the cinder block until something gives. Heller tries to block him. "Devin, sit. Bathroom. You okay?" "Don't follow." He moves fast for a big man. He doesn't mean to. The camera in the service corridor catches a shadow that's bigger than the man making it. "Bind your voice." The chat below is already asking. Backstage is a maze of pylons, cables, and temporary gods. Pop star Lana Vex hums into her in-ears. Her dancers count off. Pyrotechs run sequences, shouting numbers in the language of fire. A golf cart stacked with Gatorade barrels squeaks past. Devin staggers into a service nook the cameras never show. A triangle of wall with a drain. The stadium hum falls away, replaced by his own circulatory storm. He braces his hands on the cinder block. He's going to vomit or cry. He's not sure which. Something slips inside his right wrist. Tendon? No, like a cable pulled through a sheath. He takes off his gloves to see. The fingers are swollen, nails darkening, not longer, not yet, but denser. His cuticles bleed a minuscule ring like red crowns around small princes who are about to grow up, mean pain knives under his scapulae. He can't inhale all the way. His back tenses and releases in involuntary waves. When he swallows, his teeth shift in their beds. He hears it. A dental click that isn't a click. It's a decision. He bites the heel of his hand to throttle the noise escaping his throat. He tastes metal, not superstition, just blood. On the field, Lana Vex hits the first money note, and the roof opens wider because a producer wants the lunar shot behind her. The moon obliges, fat and muted behind the haze, like a live animal behind glass. Devin doubles. The deltoid fascia tightens and then tears in a microsurge that blooms heat. His skin fluoresces with capillary stars. He should be passing out. He isn't. Something else is managing the pain signals, rerouting, prioritizing movement over mercy. A pyrotech runs past the corridor entrance, stops and backs up. "Hey, you can't be back here. Are you?" His sentence dies when Devin lifts his head. Devin's pupils are vertical, only for a second. Not supposed to be possible. The tech forgets to scream. He sees the jaw first, wider without being longer. The masseters twitching like animals under the skin. "Sir," the tech tries, because the brain wants rules. Devin's hands hit the wall. The fingertips split before the nails do. A clear fluid threads like silk, synovial brightness, then a bloom of red that patters onto the drain. The nails thicken as if poured into new molds. He makes a sound that's a word in a language that doesn't have vowels. The tech stumbles backward into a rolling case, and the case claps the ground. Lana Vex's chorus rolls over it like a wave. A dancer peels away to investigate because curiosity is a death engine. Camera B in the tunnel swivels at a producer's bark. It catches enough, a silhouette that doesn't fit the man it belongs to, a shoulder climbing, a spine like a rope pulled taut under a sail. The video will later be called fake. Tonight, it's live for 3 seconds before the switcher cuts to crowd. Cam and sparkful, the helmet Devin left on the locker room. Floor rattles where it sits, because somewhere a throat is learning how to howl through a human larynx. He lurches forward into the corridor light. A dancer says, "Sir, are you?" And he passes her so close her hair lifts with the static his body throws. He smells her shampoo as if it's a map. Then, the field. When Devon hits turf, everything in him is at war. Bones don't lengthen like folklore. They rearrange. Levers pivot, angles change, the pelvis tilts. He becomes a machine for traction. His hands aren't paws, not yet. They're weapons with minds. The crowd cheers because the timing is perfect. Pyro, thunder plus, charging figure plus. America wants myth. It takes 2 seconds for comprehension to catch the first row. It takes 4 for the third deck. On the broadcast, the A1 slams the silencer on the field mics because the sound Devon makes peaks the meters. In homes across the country, TVs step down the audio. Dogs lift their heads and stare at the door. The nearest security guard, good man, soft in the middle, mortgage and a son, holds up 2 hands. "Hey, big guy, hey!" The first strike is a shove a fraction too hard for human intention. The guard slams into a pylon, crack that's more wood than bone, but his eyes go to glass anyway. The goalpost camera captures Devon's face in stuttered frames, teeth bared, lips receded, tear tracks silver under stadium lights. Not a monster, a man lost behind his own animal. The crowd begins to move like a school of fish when a shadow falls. The first scream is always accused of being fake. It buys people 2 seconds of bad choices. Stadium operations goes to orange, then red. SWAT units on internal rotation pivot from fan on field to unknown assailant, then to a code that doesn't exist. The play clock is still ticking on the board because time is a primitive thing. Devon is faster than he was as a man. Not because he grew springs, because he lost brakes. He crosses 50 yards before the director finds him again on cam 3. The helicopter light paints him, and he changes, not morphs, adjusts to the new vector of light like a predator unwilling to be surprised. Camera guy holds his frame like a professional until Devon looks into the lens and the guy lowers the camera without knowing he did. He will wake nights for the rest of his life thinking he hears an apology in that look. On the sideline, Coach Kessler does a stupid, brave thing. He runs towards something his brain can't name. "Devon!" he shouts, and on that name something human rises in the machine. The speed drops a hair. Kessler sees it. He raises both hands, palms out like he's talking a jumper off a ledge. "You're okay." Devon's head tilts. The ears aren't pointed. The hearing is. He blinks too slowly. He smells salt, Kessler's sweat, and something like cedar, Kessler's old aftershave, and something deeper, Fear's chemistry, which is the same in all times and uniforms. "You're okay," Kessler says again, lying like a father must. "Breathe." A flare cracks somewhere behind them. The pyro operator has overridden his kill switch and is arming magnesium to create a hotter light for the helicopter. Blind the target. A cop yells not to. The operator does anyway, because he has a kid in Section 218 and he needs the light to win. A cheerleader tries to pull a girl over a railing. The girl's shoe catches. The cheerleader lets go of the palm and grabs skin. She pulls hard. The girl clears. The cheerleader falls backward and hits steel bleacher with the back of her head. Lights out. Old men cry and don't know it. Devon staggers. The flare magnesium blooms and burns the color out of the green turf. His retina sees. He howls. The sound slaps the underside of the roof and comes back different. You can feel it in the sternum like a second heart. Ramos finds him like a brother runs into a burning house. "Hey, cross! Hey!" He takes 2 steps too close and Devon's arm moves in a shape that wasn't trained on any field. It's a hook with intent to clear space. It catches Ramos in the vest. He flies 6 feet and hits a cooler. The lid pops. Ice explodes. He gasps, tries to stand, can't, does anyway. "Devon," he says again, bleeding from a split at his hairline. "Bro, hey, it's me." A flash. Devon at a backyard grill last summer. Ramos holding his daughter, 2 meatheads laughing about ordinary things. The memory is a hook down into the deep. Devon's jaw judders. He tries to swallow words that are too big. His hands curl in, claws, no, call them nails if it makes you feel safe. Dig crescents in his own palm. He's trying not to reach. He's losing. From the tunnel, thump, thump, thump of riot shields. The SWAT commander's voice. "Drop, now, down." To what? To who? He sees a shape that won't obey his textbook. He orders silver-coated non-lethal, marketing term for aluminum oxide with a fancy name, the only thing they could scrounge in 15 minutes. It won't matter. The first beanbag hits Devon's lat and he wheels, rage and confusion telescoping into one target. He charges the tunnel as SWAT backs into a funnel, trying to keep lanes. Third man panics and fires a slug he wasn't supposed to have. It hits the metal stanchion and ricochets into a broadcast light. Glass rains. People scream a scream that finally everyone believes. The helicopter banks, and the stadium wind changes and a hot dog wrapper blows across the 40 like a stupid ghost, and for a second you remember this was a game. Where would you run if the claws found your door? The wrong answer is nowhere. 3 days later, league statement says, isolated medical event, security incident. Our thoughts are with the families. The word werewolf is unsaid. The memes say it for them. The broadcast master is scrubbed. The RF logs locked. A congressional inquiry teased and then politely mislaid. Hospital. Ramos sits with a cracked rib and a concussion he won't admit on record. Kessler's hand is bandaged where a claw, call it nail, go on, opened him like a letter. Heller has a gag order and eyes like a man who watched a bridge fall. Ramos replays the bootleg on his phone anyway. 3 seconds here, 5 there. Stitch them, line them, reverse them, slow them to 25%. He stops at the frame where Devon's eyes look like they're remembering him. Not a monster, Ramos says to no one. A man inside a broken machine. Investigators find chemical traces in the service nook, magnesium, propellant, salts. They find Devon's glove with the seams split at the fingers, the fabric stiff with something that isn't blood alone. They never find a long bone or a wolf hair because biology didn't grant them that mercy. They find shavings in the drain like toenail dust, only wrong. CDC men with notebooks write acute endocrine storm, neurolunar trigger, photonic overexposure hypothesis. They check Devon's supplements, sleep debt, hits taken. They write stacked stressor cascade, and they mean we're afraid. An RF engineer swears the halftime band's subharmonic columns layered with the stadium's resonant frequency. He draws a graph that looks like a howl. Heller writes a letter he doesn't send. We saw a human nervous system reach for another shape. He folds it into his pocket and says yes to the microphone. No comment. Lore cap, jar 20%. The archive grows. Not with mythology, with evidence. Phone clips, parabolic mic captures, spectral analysis, heart monitor logs. The kind of data that makes a church out of a lab. It doesn't make anyone feel better. The Jumbotron tech who saw his logo glitch into a skull at 12:09 a.m. doesn't mention it. He just unplugs the logo rack now when he goes to bed, and somewhere on a hard drive inside the league's legal arm is a folder named Devon Non-Cross Containment. And inside that is a PDF labeled Phases. And page 1 begins with Phase 1, Denial. Page 2 begins with Phase 2, Blame. Page 3 is redacted. Ramos wakes to a sound that isn't in the room. He lives alone because his girlfriend needed quiet, and he gave her the only thing he had left, space. He keeps the lights low. He hates mirrors now because sometimes he thinks he sees gold in his own eyes and then it's gone, and he hates himself for wanting it to be real. Because real means Devon wasn't alone. He opens his phone to a video he promised not to watch again. He watches it again. At day 03712 there's a blur that isn't motion blur. It's a plan drawn by a body on the edge of a different geometry. He knows what a hand looks like through a visor. This isn't that. He types, sorry to Devon in a message thread that will never deliver. He holds the phone and breathes like he's on a fourth quarter 2-minute drill, which is funny because nothing's funny. Coach Kessler does press with a jaw that could open a can. He was a good man, full stop. Not was a great player. He refuses the language of brand. He goes home and puts his marine dress coat on a chair and stares at it until morning. He prays once with words, then with silence, then with rage at a God he hasn't visited in years. He says out loud into his kitchen, I forgive you. And he doesn't know if he's talking to Devon or himself. Heller writes in his notebook, there is a threshold beyond which the body chooses survival over identity. He diagrams adrenal floods, lunar photoperiod, circadian traps, doodles a wolf in the margin, crosses it out until the paper pills. A fan posts a grainy loop of a silhouette sprinting the 50 under helicopter light. He sets it to orchestral music. It gets 1 million likes. He reads the comments. He reads the one that says I was there. I smelled him. I think of it every time I close a door. Ramos stands in his shower and tries to find every place he's bleeding. He doesn't bleed anywhere you can bandage. He goes to the mirror anyway and says, he stopped. He tried. He remembers the moment of hesitation, Devon's human compass needle twitching toward north for 1 second, and he lives in that second like a tent. He opens whispering narratives, uncut. Leak, because the official feeds are dead clean and lies taste like sterile rooms. The voice that narrates doesn't say monster. The voice holds him in that tent and says survive. He clicks next. The stadium becomes a pilgrimage site for a while. Candles, jerseys on fences, handwritten notes that say dumb, true things like come back and I saw you. The city assigns sanitation a special schedule because grief is messy. On game day next season, the roof stays shut in the press release, then opens a crack once the cameras are live. You can feel a country holding its breath. Ramos walks the tunnel at noon, wearing sunglasses because he can't trust the light. He stops by the drain where a helmet once kissed metal. He puts 2 fingers on the wall where you can still see the faint scuff of nails. No, calluses, where a man tried to hold something back. He says out loud, I forgive you. And this time he knows who he means. America watches from couches and bars and hospital rooms and trucks on lunch. Half of them want normal back. The other half want the moment again because they're animals too, and animals sniff the edge of the fire. In homes, 1 million dogs lift their heads at once when the national anthem reaches the word free. The director cuts to a shot of the moon through the seam in the roof. No one authorized it. It rides the broadcast like a passenger hiding in the luggage rack. A fan uploads a video of nothing but the sound of the crowd breathing, slowed to half speed. He calls it Stadium Wolf. It gets taken down. He uploads it again. He sets it to black screen, calls it white noise for sleep. It gets 1 billion minutes of watch time. No one sleeps to it. They listen for a sound the microphones can't pick, a frequency the blood already knows. You'll watch again. You'll cheer again. You'll forget again. Until the howl finds you. End screen plan. Next video loads with follow the howl overlay. Ramos's POV sit down. The uncut audio spectrogram breakdown. A clipped 30 seconds where we hold silence until the breath returns. The ritual continues because that's how stories stay alive. At Whispering Narratives, we don't just tell stories. We open doors to the shadows. And sometimes, those shadows reach back. If you're still here after this one, subscribe before the next full moon. And share this. If you still believe in mercy,